is Jer. My full name is Jeremy, but I grew up with a stutter. And actually, my first day in college, I was meeting someone and I got stuck on my name and they were shaking my hand and they cut me off and said, Jer, that's a great name. And so I'm like, that's a good idea. And so since then, I've been Jer. I heard about the MAP program because in college, I was a philosopher. That's my background as a history and philosophy guy. And I went on a philosophical journey. It had a profound impact on my own well-being. And I was kind of shocked, and I'm like, philosophy is not supposed to make you happy. So I walked into the head of my psych department. I asked to study well-being. He said, oh, I had just read this piece in Time about Marty and the MAP program. So I went to MAP, and then I wrote a capstone on the same idea that I had in college, and it got the attention of Marty and a funder. And then they gave me a bunch of money, and now I study it full time, and I think it's an idea that can change the world. When we walk around in our lives, we have this assumption that we all grew up from the same, in the same world. But the fact is that some people see the world as really scary, and some people see the world as really safe. And we use these lenses to populate ambiguity in our lives, and that leads to systemic behaviors that manifest in a whole bunch of different ways. It doesn't seem to me that we're creatures of who am I as much as we thought in the past. We're much more creatures of where am I, and that we're just responding to the world as we perceive it, what we think is going to work. And our actions are a little bit less of self-expression as much as response to a context. One of the most robust findings in psych is called the fundamental attribution error. This is when you're on a highway, someone cuts you off on the road. What do you think about that person? Typically we think they are X, they are a jerk, they have this trait that is causing them to be a jerk. When we cut off someone else on the road, we're like, oh, my wife is calling and I gotta get home to the kids and this guy cut me off. We think that we're driven by context, but everyone else is driven by their inner traits. That has to be wrong to some extent, but to what extent is it wrong? To what extent are we all simply responding to context? And a lot of that we've perceived as personality is merely a systemic response to a ubiquitous perception that we live in a scary world. We're both creatures of who am I and where am I, but the where has been ignored for a long, long time. So I'm trying to find out if this actually helps people, if it actually causes people to behave a certain way. I feel like I've been given an idea that could help people, and I don't want to mess it up, especially since these beliefs do predict depression, and I don't want depressed people to be resistant to this idea because they heard about it in a biased context.